Encyclopedia of Eternal Knowledge by Vernon, beginning with X. Xenocrates. In modern language, the ancient Greek philosopher Xenocrates said something like this: "You have a philosophy of life? All right, let's see what it does for you. Let's see how it influences your daily conduct. Does it make you a good and a pleasant human being? Does it keep you calm in a crisis? Does it provide accurate guidance and effortless action? Test your philosophy in everyday affairs. Honestly now, how much is it worth?" This frank talk has considerable value, for it refuses to go along with self-deception and compromise. It enables a man to make a decision. The wise man decides in favour of himself, not in favour of wordy philosophies. When do we have a true philosophy? When there is no difference between the philosophy and the philosopher. Xerophyte. A xerophyte is any kind of plant which carefully conserves the water it receives. This talent for not wasting water enables it to thrive in deserts. Sagebush and cacti are examples. Be like that plant. Conserve your psychic energy. Do not waste it in daydreams or in pointless social involvements. The first step is to be aware of wastage, so make this your aim for today. Detect and abolish anything that drains your natural powers. Many beginners in esotericism start with their speech habits. For instance, they slow down and eventually abolish idle chatter. Place your energies on the side of self-awakening. Economy in using inner powers is one sign of a truly wise mind. Whatever is not wasted in frivolous activities can be used for attaining the great aim. This should be a very thrilling thought to those who cherish the great aim. X-rays. The value of X-rays is in their power to penetrate solid matter and reveal hidden conditions. Likewise, esotericism provides power to see through external appearances, to understand what really happens in human affairs. With psychic X-rays, we see through ourselves and others, thus opening a new world worthy of conquest. Take a person who wants to be involved in society, but wishes to avoid getting hurt by it. That is like wanting to be a lion tamer, but demanding that lions behave like doves. We must get out of the social cage altogether, not by retreat, but by seeing through society's false ways. That leads us to the new world of worthwhile conquest, self-conquest. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I work for today? The temporary or the lasting? Xylophone. Like a xylophone, a man's nature sends out harmony or discord according to the accuracy of the musician. The only thing on earth that really persecutes a man is his own unconscious wrongness. Anyone feeling he is out of step with the world should question whether it is worthwhile to be in step with the world. People fear that truth wishes to force them inside a fence, which is a very common fear among people living inside a fence. Knowing what one wants is not the same as knowing the difference between right and wrong. To begin to see the answer, a man must expose his hidden fear that there might not be an answer. The needle of truth can be found in the haystack of falsehood only when one has made an effort to learn what a needle looks like. A sincere person, hearing truths which upset him, should be exceedingly eager to hear the next upsetting truths. Why? Yearning for knowledge. A woman in class introduced herself as a visitor from New Zealand. She then asked, what would it be like to meet a teacher who really understands the mysteries of life? If you ever meet a man who really knows, he knows 10,000 times more than you think he knows. However, there is no way for you to know this at present, for anything above your present level of perception does not exist for you. This explains why some people scorn or distort that which they cannot understand. You can't talk to a sparrow about stars. Let this information aid your advancement. Resolve to never reject an idea just because it fails to agree with what you already accept as true. The visitor nodded in agreement. Earlier this evening, someone stated that a teacher can only teach the teachable. That is certainly true. I want to increase my yearning for knowledge. Year of progress. 2 students of esotericism volunteered to report on their progress over the year. One student stood up to say, "I used to suffer deeply from feeling misunderstood. It seemed that no one could enter my world with sympathy and understanding. It was hard to face at first, but this was a classic case of self-centeredness. I finally realised what it meant to be a prisoner of one's own error. At one of the meetings, someone made a particularly helpful remark. He said that every prisoner unconsciously consents to his chains. I have withdrawn my consent." The other student reported, "I used to go around doing what I thought was good works. I tried to live up to a flattering self-picture of being a friendly and helpful person. All the time I was a smouldering volcano, ready to explode. There was deep resentment of the role I thought I had to play. Of course, I tried to hide my hostility from others in order to keep my public image intact. Only these teachings saved me from I don't know what kind of a disaster. I was shown how to see myself as I really was, while not being frightened or ashamed. That was the start that led to liberty from my terrible self-conflict and self-punishment." Yellow dove. A husband and wife lived in a woodland cottage at the base of a mountain. One morning, the wife found an injured dove on the ground. While caring for it, they inspected its unusually brilliant golden yellow feathers. They agreed they had never seen a bird like this in the surrounding trees. The dove slowly recovered, but seemed restless and unhappy. The puzzled wife experimented by feeding it different kinds of foods, but the bird remained as despondent as before. Intrigued by the mystery, the wife secured a book about birds. After a while, she explained the solved mystery to her husband. "It is not native to this area," she said. "It belongs on the other side of the mountain. An unusual storm must have carried it away from its natural habitat." The yellow dove was taken to the other side of the mountain. When released, it sang cheerfully and flew away. Commented the wife, "Now we understand. It just wanted to go home." The husband philosophized, "Like man." Yes and no. Ask yourself, from higher spiritual altitudes, what does it mean to learn from hurtful experiences? The answer is fascinating. It could be more easily understood by seeing what it means to not learn from experience. We refuse the lesson in disappointments and frustrations because we do not see them as the very healing medicines we need. We wrongly take no as a threat to our existence, which then cuts us off from the medicines. What is frustration? It is nothing more than a blockage to a man's insistence that his personal desires should rule the world. When this unconscious demand is refused by reality, the man feels defeated and afraid. So how does a wise man use experiences of frustration? He allows them to break down and destroy his false assumption that his survival depends upon a yes to his demands. He must realize that his real nature is above both yes and no, therefore above both frustration and anxiety. Yesterday and tomorrow. Mr. and Mrs. H usually occupied the same chairs during class. Close to the front, they were in a good position to exchange ideas with the teacher. Mrs. H said one evening, "Friends sometimes ask what our classes are all about. Although I know quite well why we're here, I find it difficult to explain to them. Sometimes I just say that we wish to straighten out our lives, but I know how vague that sounds to people. We realise, added Mr. H, that most people will not understand any more than my wife and I would have understood a few years ago. We were convinced it is best just to drop a single idea into their minds to see whether they are interested in hearing more. This obeys the esoteric rule that these truths must be given only to those who show definite interest. But what is a good way to test sincerity? What might we reply when asked what the class is all about? Tell them it is all about a way to prevent yesterday from becoming tomorrow. Yield to truth. A member of a class in Colorado commented, "I fought against it for years, but I now yield to plain logic. Our usual ways of solving social problems only make them worse. Social reformers want to change living conditions, but so does a hurricane. We all think that someone else knows more than we do and can therefore help us. This is abandonment of self-intelligence. More and more I am convinced that no man is better qualified to think for me than myself." Agreed a second student. "I know exactly what Carl is talking about. I also fought fiercely against any idea that did not agree with what I preferred to believe. Truth could no more penetrate my mind than a rock can absorb perfume. It took a severe personal crisis to jolt me out of my arrogant daydream. I will tell you what helped me most of all when I started this class. I was told to not be afraid to drop all ideas which gave me a sense of security. This helped me to see that my security was artificial, so I had everything to gain by losing false ideas based on social imitation. Like Carl, I want to think for myself." You and aloneness. People are so fearful of being left alone, whether physically, socially, psychologically. They get uneasy when having only their own company. And that is a perfect example of lack of insight. Being alone is an opportunity for standing on your own. Away from those who demand your time and attention, you can locate the new power which is never afraid of being alone. One certain benefit of this is the end of a common torment, the torment of feeling oneself at the mercy of other people. The wife feels at the mercy of her husband's decision to remain or leave her. The businessman feels himself the slave of the rude customer. Do not be at the mercy of yourself, and you cannot be at the mercy of others. Throw away one end of the stick, and you also lose the other end. Perhaps the idea of being at the mercy of yourself is new to you. Think about it. Think rightly until the realization dawns that you are not at the mercy of husband or customer or anyone else. You and wholeness. The person who blazes his own trail has one supreme advantage. He need not pay for the mistakes of others. Blaze your own trail with the following principles. The world can be embraced, but it cannot be used. We can try to use the world for what we think are personal benefits, but we must remember the outcome. The personal must be the partial, the limited, the divided. In these states we feel separated, unloved, insecure. Those who persist along the path will someday end all attempts to use anyone or anything. This happens because they are no longer controlled by the mechanical forces which used to rush them towards supposed advantages, which ended in conflict. Such people know what it means to be whole, unlimited, unified. Your original nature. A band of refugees fleeing from a land of oppression climbed to the heights of a green mountain. There they discovered a stream with water of great purity and clearness. Climbing even higher, they discovered the source of the stream. Wishing to protect its purity, they built a spacious temple over the source of the stream in a way which did not interfere with its flow. So over the years, the stream remained a source of refreshment for those who protected its purity. The source of purity is your own original nature, Discover and protect it. Let no one interfere with its natural flow. This story was heard in class by Floyd, an airline pilot. He commented, "That is an excellent illustration of what we must do. I will remember it. However, I always return to the same question. Where can we start the self-exploration which leads us back to our original nature? Your mind works in various ways. Discover whether those ways are beneficial." Your purpose. Descartes had an interesting method for determining whether scholars with great reputations for wisdom actually possessed what they professed. Descartes selected a truth of which he himself was the master, then presented it to a scholar who called on him. Usually, the scholar appeared to understand the idea also, but at that point, Descartes made his test. The scholar was asked to repeat the idea back to Descartes. In most cases, the idea was completely distorted from its original form, which proved that it was not really understood. Investigate everything for yourself. Take no one's word for anything. When anyone tries to teach you something about God or spirituality, ask yourself, is this person speaking from himself, or is he merely repeating what he has picked up somewhere? Anyone with alert mind and eyes can detect the difference. Your purpose is to go beyond recorded mental tapes of what life is all about to a personal experience which sets you free. Youthful mind. There is only one reason why an individual's mind works against him instead of serving him naturally and effortlessly. It is because the person has not explored his own mind long enough to understand its incorrect operation. Suppose a man feels depressed because he is not what society calls a success. He must realise that his conditioned mind has taken a mere word, a mere label, as a reality. Correction comes by realising that the only worthwhile success is to be an enlightened human being who lives above glittering but worthless human labels. Who am I? Is the haunting question in everyone's mind. Reality replies, you will never discover who you are by thinking about who you are, for your real nature resides above habitual thought. Only when frantic thought ceases will you know, and it will be totally different than expected. A mind which understands this secret is a youthful mind. Z. Zeal for facts. You do not need to get involved in mysterious doctrines or complicated ceremonies. You just need a zeal for facts. Unfortunately, many people prefer mystery and magic because it appears more exciting than facts. This is a dreadful error. It is like preferring a sparkling pebble over an uncut diamond. It is perfectly possible to live without wearing yourself out in futile battles with people and events. What fact is more exciting than that? Every weight upon your mind can be lifted immediately and forever. Try to equal the excitement of that fact. There are some people in this world who know these facts by personal experience. Join them. When these ideas were discussed in a class in Iowa, someone commented, "Assumptions often masquerade as facts. How can we tell one from the other?" A fact never leaves you regretting that you chose it. Study past experiences and you will see the difference. Zen. A teacher of Zen invited questions from his class. A student asked, "What future rewards can be expected by those who strive diligently with their lessons?" Answered the teacher, "Ask a question close to home." A second student wanted to know, "How can I prevent my past follies from rising up to accuse me?" The Zen master repeated, "Ask a question close to home." A third student raised a hand to state, So we do not understand what is meant by asking a question close to home. To see far, first see near. Be mindful of the present moment, for it contains answers about future and past. What thought just crossed your mind? Are you now sitting before me with a relaxed or with a tense physical body? Do I now have your full or partial attention? Come close to home by asking questions such as these. Close questions lead to distant answers. Zenith of intelligence. Remember, there is practical thinking towards daily affairs, and there is awareness of yourself in action. See the difference in the two ways. When necessary to think about your business or about driving your car, give full attention to these tasks. But when not occupied in particular, as when walking somewhere, be aware of yourself doing whatever you're doing. In time, you will be able to switch casually from one way of using your mind to the other, just as you easily alternate between using left hand and right hand. Practical thinking towards daily affairs and awareness of yourself in action alternate naturally, in which the mind operates wholly. When one is active, the other is passive. The whole mind is working all the time, but in different ways, just as left and right hands express movements of the whole body. It is the zenith of intelligence to remain within practical thinking towards daily affairs and awareness of yourself in action. Zephyr of refreshment. You would think everyone would eagerly welcome these guides. It is a distracted world. People are so distracted by the rough bumps along their psychic detours, they can't hear the good news about the open highway ready for instant use. We are now more aware of the falsity of society's standards of success. How might esotericism define success? When hearing a fact about yourself you do not want to hear, and you do not run away, you are a success. Please give us some knowledge about ourselves. An external event does not cause a personal crisis. Rather, it reveals the crisis already within. Man is a slumbering crisis, like a ticking time bomb. I'm invigorated by small feelings of rightness which pass through me with increasing frequency. Truth is like a refreshing zephyr blowing across a desert trail leading to the mountains. Any traveller on that trail will feel the zephyr's invigoration. Zest for life. Why do we get what we do from life? We receive according to a definite cosmic law. We get what we actually value, not what we say or think we value. Our psychological nature seeks people and events which are like itself. Like attracts like. To change what we get, we must change what we value. To change what we value, we must get so weary of the futile chase for artificial values that we refuse to run anymore. There can be no zest for life in a man who demands that people and events obey his personal desires. He can have only a counterfeit enthusiasm, like a dinner guest who pretends to enjoy tasteless food. A real zest for life is possessed by whoever is no longer burdened by mechanical demands. Zigzag thinking. We express our level of understanding or misunderstanding in everything we think and say and do. So it is essential to study the results of any actions we put into motion. The quality or non-quality of results can reveal where an uplifting of causes is necessary. A cause must always produce a similar effect. For a higher effect, put a higher cause into motion. There is a reason for a zigzagging life. It is zigzagging thinking, nothing else. Our aim is to end zigzag thinking and go right to the point of discarding the old and obtaining the new. To be a different person who acts in a different way. That is what we seek. A teacher asked a member of a class, "Do you know why you're here?" "Why?" "So that everything will not continue the way it is." Zones of influence. Human thoughts and human acts have established dozens of zones of influence. There is the influence of the family circle, of office and factory. Men influence and are influenced by politics, churches, social customs. Individuals influenced by these zones can only suffer from them. They always exert degrees of pressure towards mindless obedience and conformity. In many cases, the pressure of the zone may push in the opposite direction of another zone, leaving battered and bewildered victims. Sometimes the stunned individual firmly believes he has found security in Zone A, only to be carried off in a mixture of hope and despair by Zones B and C and D. Do not live like that. Be free of zones. The way to do this becomes clear as you grasp the principle of oneness. There are no zones in an individual's one mind, which knows itself to be an expression of the universal one mind. Instead of noisy zones of influence, there is quiet completeness. Zoom upwards. A ground squirrel was seeking food in a meadow when he met a tree squirrel, who was also searching around. Deciding to rest for a while, they fell into a discussion of philosophy. The ground squirrel confessed, "I've tried to find a better life for myself, but have not succeeded. It seems that the world consists only of hard ground and limited supplies." Looking at his companion with surprise, the tree squirrel said, "I'm puzzled that you see life like that. My world is vast and abundant." "But how can that be?" inquired the ground squirrel. The tree squirrel suddenly nodded and said, "I think I understand why you see things as you do. If you would like to view a new world, please follow me up this tree." This is the perfect story for any man or woman who wishes to zoom upwards in life.